often led by their spirit to know more. You know, I was out in Chicago over the holidays and driving out and driving back along those stretches on Highway 76, but especially on 80 and 90 out in the Midwest. You see these flocks of starlings. Sometimes they look like there's 100 or 200, and there's just this black blob in the sky, except it keeps moving and darting and soaring, and rarely do they land. And it's just, you almost drive off the road wanting to watch them. It's so impressive. And that is a great image of spirit. We want to follow our spirit. And so much of Western education and science is based on this model of spirit, following the spirit and wherever the spirit takes you. It's just this bundle of energy. Always wanting to move, always willing to take off. That's the way we've been educated. Follow your spirit. But the deep end is soul. And Moore says, too often we follow our spirit at the price of not nourishing our soul. The spirit will take care of itself. It will figure out a way to replenish itself, but you've got to take care of your soul, that deeper side of yourself. You need to care for your soul, which is what Thomas More has been spending a lot of time writing about. How do you care for that deeper part? While your spirit is out there just going all over the place. What about your body? What about your soul? What are you doing to take care of yourself? Some have argued that Darwin spent an awful lot of time following his spirit. He spent almost all of his time. I would even go so far as to say he spent all of his time following his spirit, as did many of the people around him. He was committed to letting his spirit lead him. And as a consequence of that, he changed the world. He changed the world. What did I do with my book? I don't need it. Yes, I do. In his autobiography, Darwin laments, not using Thomas More's language, the language I'm using now, using his own language, which was a Victorian language. He laments having spent too much time not taking care of his soul and spending too much time following his spirit. And in the end of my essay, this is the way I read about it. Over time, he lost touch with his complete self. He failed to nurture his whole being. As if to caution us, he laments in his autobiography, "My mind seems to have become a kind of machine for grinding the general laws out of large collections of facts." He's digging deeper. He's being patient. He's going deeper and deeper into the details. If I had to live my life again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music at least once a week. The loss of these tastes is a loss of happiness. It may possibly be injurious to the intellect and more probably to the moral character by enfeebling the emotional part of our nature. In a controlled and cool style, which is to say in a Victorian upper-class manner, Darwin is lamenting more than the missed opportunities of his youth. He is naming the self-inflicted drought he experienced because he neglected the depth and soul of his own revelations. It would take more than music and poetry once a week to bring back the grounding for which he yearned. For 150 years later, since the publication of Origin, we have had the advantage of time and experience to see clearly what was absent from Darwin's life. Immersion in and trust of the ancestral web of existence of which he was a part. He had failed to see and feel his place on the tree of life, and to fully mingle his shallow roots with the tree's deep and sturdy roots in order to derive meaning and joy. He spent all his time up here, and he never went down here. And then he got to be 75, 80 years old, and he said, I missed the boat. I didn't spend enough time taking care of my soul. Or, in our language as Unitarian Universalists, he never spent enough time immersing himself in the interdependent web, which is ironic, because here's Darwin who's holding up the interdependent web. But he did so in just a cognitive way in his head, and he could never really feel it. He never put himself on that tree of life. And so what's all of this mean for us? As we begin to enter into this season of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, my favorite word is the season of Hallow-Thanksmas. As we enter this season where it is so easy simply to follow our spirit, and we want to follow our spirit. We want to have a good time. We want to soar. We want to dive. We want to move around. Do all those family traditions and ancestral traditions and cultural traditions and follow our spirit. And how are we going to take care of our soul? What are you going to do to nurture your body and not just your brain? So when it's all over, this season, you don't feel absolutely wiped out and exhausted and look back at it and say, what was that all about? We need balance. Darwin needed balance. Some way to balance spirit and soul. Or the other image that we sometimes use is to recognize that we have both roots and wings. And if we're all wings all the time, we sure get exhausted, don't we? We need to deepen our roots, become sturdy, and grow. May this be our wish. Let this be our prayer for this holiday season. Amen.
Amen.